Welcome into the PFF NFL Daily. Today discussing Commanders cornerback William Jackson. Looks like he's looking for a trade, Sam. And we're going to figure out where William Jackson could go. About a year and a half, right? Was it last year? Was his first year of the Commanders? Or the year before? Anyway, he's had a rough
2021.
stretch here. Yeah, rough stretch. Last year and a half with the Commanders. It was one of our favorite free agent pickups before the 2021 season. So far, we look stupid because he hasn't played all that well. But Ian Rappaport, I want to make sure I get the tweet right. Ian Rappaport reporting the news that he wants to be traded. And thanks to Ian, the rap sheet here, citing PFF, saying William Jackson sees himself as a man corner. However, per PFF, 62.3% zone coverage by the Commanders. So William Jackson wants to go play a little man-to-man somewhere else in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things there. First of all, I think from William Jackson's perspective, I would probably want to trade too. It's not working well in Washington so far. His two of the worst three grades of his career have come in this year and the year before in Washington. Right now, through 5 weeks, he's allowing a passer rating of 150 into his coverage. He's allowed 2 touchdowns already. He's got 4 penalties. It's just
Could be
85% of the passes into his coverage have been caught. It's been a disaster. And then I think the other thing is he's probably right. He is a better man cover corner than he is a zone cover corner. The issue with that is the league is pivoting away from man heavy coverage type of scheme. So if he simply can't play zone coverage, he's going to find, suitors thin on the ground, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly oversimplifying things. It's not like he's never played well in zone-heavy schemes. The Cincinnati Bengals, when he played with them, they weren't playing man at the same level as the teams like the Patriots, the Dolphins, the Lions under Matt Patricia, the way they were playing a few years ago. But you're right, that doesn't exist anymore around the NFL. There's barely a team. The Patriots are still playing a lot of man coverage relative to the rest of the league, but even it's down about 12 to 15% over what it was in previous years. It is a zone heavy league right now. So, it still might not be a scheme fit in Washington. I think William Jackson can contribute to other teams better. I think it just seems like it's a bad situation, but he's a talented player. One of the reasons why we liked him was because at times in his career, he had looked like a future top 5 corner. He hasn't really gotten there yet, but that is intriguing for any team that could be trading for him.
Yeah, and the other thing is it's only getting more zone heavy. I mean, all this defense in this season, the year before, this pivot towards 2 high coverage shells, 2, 4, 6, quarter, half, all this kind of stuff. These are all zone schemes. These are all less man coverage, more zone coverage, even if you factor in pattern match and man within zone and all this kind of stuff. It's all more of a kind of zone skill set that if that's what's causing problems, this is not helping William Jackson. Like, we might just be seeing the league move away from the type of coverage that he's most comfortable with. And if he can't adjust to that, he's not going to get back to the kind of coverage that we saw from him earlier in his career. That being said, we know that coverage generally is a volatile, it's a volatile thing. It comes and goes. The guys go from really high levels to really low ebbs and back and forth. So if I was a team and the cost was right, obviously that's a big part of this as well, I would always kick the tires on a guy like William Jackson. We talking about a 6 foot, 195, 200 pound type of corner with length. He's got all the skills, runs under a 4.4 40. He's got the perfect tool set to be an elite high end corner. And we've seen it from him before. That 2017 season, okay, it's a long way in the rear view mirror at this point. But we've seen play from him that puts him up there with high-end starting cornerback play. I would always be kicking the tires on that and seeing if you can recapture that, even if it's just one random year down the line.
Yeah, that's exactly it, man. It's trying to recapture that because he is a talented player. Just to recap a little bit, you said 2017, that was a 90 coverage grade, on a bit limited sample size as a rookie, but 72 the next year, and you could see the dips, right? Down to 55, up to 72, down to 59 last year. This year, it is 48. We'll get into a few key fits here, potential teams for William Jackson. But first, the NFL action is in full swing at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. We're talking touchdowns, big plays, and even bigger wins. New customers can bet just $5 on any NFL team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do. If that's not enough, everyone can boost their winnings with DraftKings stepped up same game parlays. Right now, every leg that you add can boost your winnings up to 100%. With payouts bigger than ever, why bet on football anywhere else? To make things even sweeter, you can throw down on stepped up same game parlays once per game day all season long. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code PFF to get $200 in free bets if your team wins when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's code PFF only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. All right, Sam, any teams around the league that stand out to you? I know if I go to premium stats on pff.com and just sort by the worst coverage teams in the NFL, it's a good start, right? The bottom two teams, Arizona Cardinals and Seattle Seahawks. I know the Seahawks are developing Tariq Woolen on one side. Both of these teams, I don't know if they say, hey, we're huge contenders right now, but both teams look like they could use help in the cornerback room. I know that could be a good starting point.
Yeah, I'd be intrigued by a team like the 49ers, who all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, who are, I think, see themselves as contenders, think that they have a team that can win a Super Bowl, that can win the division, that, can go where they need to go, but they just lost a starting cornerback to an ACL injury. And okay, again, in terms of maybe it's not the greatest fit in the world schematically, but we've just talked about it. It's those teams that would be an ideal scheme fit are pretty low on the ground. So maybe the 49ers are willing to kick the tires and see if William Jackson can come in and replace potentially what they lost in Emmanuel Mosley. They would be a team I think that makes some sense.
Yeah, I like the Niners as a potential team just because of losing Mosley. Travarius Ward has played so well on the other side. It seems like every time there's a corner available, the Kansas City Chiefs come up, but just because they haven't had the name talent the last couple of years, right? But they've developed some pretty good corners. I mean, they've got a rookie in Jalen Watson this year. He's not played great, but for a rookie, he's played pretty well. He's played solid, and I think there's a good future there. Trent McDuffie just coming back, potentially off of IR soon. He's their first-round rookie, so they just invested there. And L'Jarius Sneed, who they've developed into a pretty good player. But that doesn't take the Chiefs out of the equation here. Could William Jackson come in and upgrade over a rookie like Watson, over a Rashad Fenton? I think so. And then you just kind of figure out how Trent McDuffie fits in when he potentially gets back.
Yeah, I mean, I think only if you see something like the old William Jackson come back. I'm not sure if he's an automatic upgrade, but again, if the price is right, maybe it's worth. I think there's a few teams that are maybe in that desperation mold based off the first 5 weeks of the season that might just roll the dice and see if he can make an impact and change the course of things. So Indianapolis, maybe depending on what happens with them this weekend, maybe they're completely out of it already, but the Colts might see this has gone south. This is the kind of move that might materially change things for us. The Rams, same story, right? They already have Jalen Ramsey, obviously, but the other positions within that secondary are not playing great. The Rams season is kind of unspooling in front of them. As a defending Super Bowl champion, they might be desperate enough to roll the dice and try and get a fix in there somewhere. And then Arizona, I think, is another team where, again, their secondary is weak. They've got concerns there. They've given up a ton of big plays. Their season is in danger. Maybe the Cardinals are desperate enough for that kind of move.
The Rams are an intriguing one there. They're certainly not afraid of big name players. And, they've, I don't want to say neglected the other cornerback position opposite Jalen Ramsey, but it has been a revolving door, and they've got some youth there, but maybe Jackson's a little bit more stable for them. The one other team I want to throw out there is the Baltimore Ravens, because you mentioned teams that have dealt with injuries and the whole deal, but they've been top heavy with just Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey. Humphrey can move around. It might be overkill to have that many outside receivers, but with Humphrey's versatility, you could do that. The Ravens still like the opportunity to play man when they can. They've been a little bit more zone heavy or game plan oriented this year. But that could be a nice fit for Baltimore, who's had some depth issues at corner the last couple of years.
Yeah, it could be. I think the Ravens probably see themselves as having just too much quality at the starting two already to go that deep into it. I think they're also pretty tight against the salary cap, which maybe takes them out of it. The teams that have a lot of space to play with, the Raiders are another team actually that have the space and are an interesting team, could potentially roll that kind of dice. But the Colts have space. The 49ers have space. The Cardinals have space. The Rams have enough space. Teams like the Ravens, I think, are probably getting to the point where it's like, maybe they could make it happen, but I doubt they would want to enough.
All right, as we say, bottom line here, William Jackson is a talented player, has not produced well the last year plus, but at a position that tends to, reverse course, you can get some good play out of William Jackson. We'll see where he lands. Let us know which team could use William Jackson.